Hi everyone, it's Kelly from the Hub here today with somebody new. You might know Todd from some of our landlord and tenant videos that we have done before. So let's introduce him. This is Todd Capitao. He works for Tabor Community Services. Hello there.
Hello, I'm happy to be here.
Good, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good. So you know we do lots of fun series here at the Hub, and this one is because Todd is a man who is good with a dollar. And to the extent that he is going to be teaching us some ways to be frugal, some ways to stretch our dollar farther, some ways that you can help yourself to programs and services that you might not even know about. And ways that you can save money doing things like prescriptions and hospital programs. I'm telling you, for the next several weeks, we are going to have a lot of things to talk about. And also, well, I will start this out this way, and we'll probably talk about it some more. If you have ideas on things you're like, how do I save money on blah, 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 blah. Todd, I think, will also talk about putting kids through college, right? That's one of the topics you were going to talk about. Yeah. So if you were like, the kids they're going to be graduating, or they might have just started college and you want to figure out how to save money on the next couple of years, feel free, put it in the comments and we will certainly talk about it. So, Todd, how did you come to be such a person who is good at this? I think that some people are good at it. Some people are sort of learn about it along the way and are decent at it. And some people just suck at it. So how did you come to be good at being frugal?
I think the biggest part is not that as a kid, I wasn't in a household where we didn't have any money, but if you wanted something, you usually had to work for it. And like everyone else, I don't mind putting a little effort in, but if I could get what I want for less cost, then I don't have to put as much effort into it. So I know, like, I wanted a new bike,
Yeah.
and a new bike, I think my parents were willing to put part of the money in, but the bike they wanted to buy me was a basic bike. I
Yeah.
wanted a dirt bike that you could a bicycle, but one you could race and stuff like that. It was
Right. That was
amazing.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Massachusetts, where I was at the time, we actually they just started where you could bring aluminum cans in
Yeah.
for a nickel.
Yeah.
So, and bottles were a dime. So I made hundreds of dollars on saving cans and bottles, and I paid the full price. I bought the whole thing. They didn't actually have to put anything into it. They kind of changed their mind when they saw how much money I was actually bringing in. So it was one of those type of things that I learned early, that if you want something, like if you go to the store and there's a good and there's a better and there's a best, if there's a reason to have the best, I wanted to buy it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just get good or sub good, something that just does the job and then it breaks after the first time you use it or whatever,
Right.
like a tool or something. I wanted to be able to get what I wanted without having to put out any extra money from what I'm earning. So I try to always find a way to get me from point A to point B. And it doesn't always happen, but I'm always thinking, how could I make an extra buck without too much effort? And I also look at, do I really need this? So the other part is sometimes I really want something, but I don't really need it.
Yeah.
So that inner conflict of between wants and needs, it's okay to buy a want every once in a while, but if we do it a lot, that can get us into quite a bit of trouble. And I've been there. So
Yeah. So you work at Tabor Community Services. You are one of our partners here at the Hub, and so we do a ton of stuff with you. And I feel like everybody knows you, but I'm not sure everybody does. So can you talk about what Tabor does for in Lancaster and like how you help out people in our area?
well, Tabor Community Services is a agency in Lancaster City. We're on King Street, and there's multiple divisions. So I'll touch lightly on the other divisions that I'm not part of. We have a shelter, a family shelter for homeless folks on King Street as well. It's called TLC. It's a 52-room hotel that was converted into a homeless shelter. It's been a shelter for many, many years. Tabor took it over in the last 20 years from when it was Harb Adult and other things. We do some veterans work out of that building. We have rooms just for veterans and their families. But we try to do family type of situations versus what a Water Street Rescue Mission does with individuals. So that's one division. So we're dealing with folks that are homeless. The second division deals more with trying to house the folks that are experiencing homelessness in various programs that come around that. Folks with disabilities, folks with physical or mental disabilities. We have assistance there. We have assistance for housing, but it's folks that are in the homeless programs. So both of those programs, you have to be in need in order to access any of those. And you can't just walk in the front door and say, I want help. You have to go through 211 and get those things. The third division is the one I'm in charge of. I'm the director for financial empowerment. And the Financial Empowerment Center, we're the only division where you don't have to be in crisis to see us. So if you walk in and say, I just want to check my credit, I want to buy a house, or I want to learn how to do budgeting or further my education or all those type of things, we'll walk you through those steps. We'll do the coaching and counseling, and there's no fee for those services. So that's a huge part of it. Yep. The other part is yes, you can still come see us if you're in crisis. Folks with eviction prevention, foreclosure prevention, they could be looking at bankruptcy, a lot of debt. We have programs to be able to help folks through those types of processes. And again, those services are free. I will say right now we're a little overwhelmed with the amount of folks that are experiencing crisis during a pandemic. But please be patient with us. We're working through those. The cool thing is I actually taught workshops for Tabor for about 9 years before I started working there. And I'll tell you what, when I started working the first day in, I had no idea the amount of programming that Tabor actually does. So there's a lot going on. I just went over the surface a little bit, but I have a background in banking, in lending, credit. Before that, I did things in retail, sales, and management. I worked in manufacturing. I've run my own business. I've been a landlord. Yeah, you name it. I've done a lot of different things. So I bring a lot to what we do. And the other thing is the counselors, most of them have years and years of experience dealing in these situations. They may not have always been a counselor, but they bring a lot of experience that allows them to be able to counsel others.
I can absolutely attest to all of those divisions. We've sent people over to Tabor to help us with all of those things. And the financial counseling that one of Todd's colleagues, Randy, does when she comes to the hub before the pandemic is she would walk through with people. They would come to her with literally soup to nuts financial situations. And I know this because I would ask her, she wouldn't tell me any like personal information, but I wanted to know like how people have come to buy their first home, and people who were much older than you would think. And this was their first home and they needed help to be able to do it. And she made it work for them. She went through all their budgeting stuff. She's fantastic. I cannot say enough fantastic things about Randy, but she's helped. There was a lovely older couple that came in that they were on a very tight budget and something happened to their car and they didn't know how they were going to be able to get the car fixed and then make everything else in the budget columns work. And I will say, to this woman's credit, I have never, because Randy said to me, this woman had every month was so amazing at her budget. She knew that she had $6.42 that month and how they were going to do it. So this woman certainly was raised to rub two pennies together and hopefully you can find a nickel out of there somewhere. So every single one of their services is a totally great. And I'm just saying that to let you know that, and Todd will tell you a lot of stuff. This stuff is not like fluffy little things you read in a fashion magazine, but also at the same time, none of the stuff that Todd's going to be talking about is like scary, overwhelming, Wall Street, scary financial stuff. He's going to be talking about regular stuff that regular people can do to make their lives a little easier. And I have to tell you, I love the way that you talk about sometimes you don't have to do as much work. You just have to be able to save the money in a different way.
Yep.
And
well, I use the example there that I use a lot is my wife, it drives my wife crazy. I said, if there was one thing that drives her crazy about me being this way, is I seem to collect stuff. I have a big barn, and so people are like, oh, Todd probably has one of those because he probably picked it up somewhere. But I like to get stuff. Like the perfect example is I picked up a lawnmower at a yard sale that they said it didn't work. So I brought it home and I looked at it and I was looking through everything, and it had an on-off switch for the gas. There's a switch in the gas line and it was off. So I turned it to the on position and then I pulled the thing and it started right up. So there was nothing wrong with it. It's just that someone didn't look at it close enough. And I didn't know that when I picked it up. My wife was thinking, great, he just brought something else home. And now we've been using that mower for almost 4 years and it works great. It's better than the one we had. So, and since then I've run into a actual device there that you could plug into to put power in your house if the power goes out, the generator.
Yeah.
And I picked that up, same reason. The shut-off switch was off. And I turned it on and it runs fine. And that's like a $600 generator I got for free. So,
wow.
And the other person said, I called them up and said, this still works. Do you want it back? And he's like, no, I already bought another one. You can keep it. So I tried to be nice with that way. I felt bad.
Right.
When you pick up the $600 item, but it's those type of things that I'll go on Google and say, how do you fix this?
Yeah.
And worst case scenario is I get it in pieces and can't put it back together again. And then it's going to go in the trash anyway. So.
Right. Then you could just sell it for parts. So one of the first things we're going to talk about, and we will save this for next week, is what can you do with your stimulus check? The stimulus checks are out. Some of you may have spent them already. But Todd's going to give us some advice on how you can use your stimulus check to help you out in lots of different ways. So this is our friend Todd, and I hope that you join us again. We will have a lot of things to chat about. So thank you very much. We'll chat again next week. See you, everybody.